We've been asked a number of times, how do I know how much house I can actually afford? So we did a little bit of research trying to find a nice rule of thumb to tell people, quick and easy, and we stumbled upon the 28-36 rule.
Yeah.
In this video, we're going to break down what is the 28-36 rule, does it work for you, can it work for anybody? So let's find out together.
Stop wasting money on that dumb shit and instead put it in investment. I know it's tempting. You'll spend it and be broke again.
All right, so starting out with just the basics to kind of get the concept down. The 28% part of the 28-36 rule is allocating no more than 28% of your gross monthly income towards housing costs. And 36 applies to keeping your total debts, including your mortgage, credit cards, loans, whatever it might be, under 36% of your gross income.
Now that might sound a little confusing, a lot of words, a lot of different debts, before, gross, all that stuff. But let's just go step-by-step process, how you can do this, and you'll see how easy it really is. Start with your annual income before taxes. That's what gross means, is just before taxes. For example, let's say your income is $60,000 per year or $5,000 per month. Your housing budget is $5,000 times 0.28, because 28%, equals $1,400 per month. So that's what you can spend on housing, is $1,400 per month. Pretty simple, pretty easy.
Yeah. So now, obviously, we're going to jump to the 36% part of the rule, and you're going to factor in all your other debts, credit cards, student loans, whatever it might be, car loans. So if your monthly income is that $5,000 that we had from a second ago, then your total debt budget is that $5,000 times 36% or 0.36, and you get $1,800 a month. So that's how much you have to go to all your debts, including the mortgage that we talked about.
So yeah, basically you have, in this example, a $60,000 salary, you have $1,400 to spend on housing, and then you have an additional $400 to spend on all other debt.
Now, there are a lot of things to consider in this, and you got to fine tune your budget. I mean, interest rates alone can drastically change how much your monthly payment is for your house. And then you also have to consider things like just your personal savings goals. And if you've followed along with this channel at all, you've heard us talk about emergency funds. We always recommend having that before doing really any of this, buying a house, anything like that. You should have an emergency fund, which is just typically 3 to 6 months of expenses saved aside, and you'll kind of want to figure out what your mortgage payment will roughly be and include that in this emergency fund before you start going shopping and everything. And then, of course, your down payment and closing costs, all that drastically changes how much you have saved and everything. So factor that in and kind of do the math to figure out if your budget fits within this rule.
Yeah, and the interest rate not only affects the housing cost of your monthly, what you can put towards your housing, but also your student loans, they're going to have their own interest rate.
Yeah.
Your car loans going to have its own interest rate, personal loans. So all of those, you can maybe say go and refinance some of those and bring those down, hopefully, only if it's the right time, right market, obviously,
Yeah.
and bring those down, and maybe that allows you to put more towards housing. So that you can play with it a little bit and figure out what meets your budget, because we obviously see $1,400 a month isn't going to get you much.
No.
There aren't many markets you can get a $1,400 mortgage or spend $1,400 on your house.
Yeah.
So we don't really find this to be super realistic unless the money works out in terms of you're a high earner. Then you have a lot of high salary to then play with, and your mortgage can be higher, your debts can be higher, all of that. But this is closer to that median salary in the U.S., so this is more along the lines of majority.
Yeah. Frankly, I don't really think this rule is that applicable to the average person in today's market. Just with housing affordability the way it is, I know it doesn't really apply to me. I couldn't make these percentages work if I wanted to, at least not for my mortgage alone. It's just the numbers get changed slightly. Now, you shouldn't be exceeding this like crazy. Like if your mortgage, you calculate it, and it's probably going to be 50% of your income, then you're probably shopping outside of your budget and everything. We're not saying go crazy, but we are saying that these percentages in today's market are just, quite frankly, tough to meet.
Yeah, so you're probably asking, like, why did they even present this if
Yeah.
they're going against it? This is just to show, like, we were doing our research and looking for a good rule of thumb, and we came across this. So as we would do talking to our friend, we would bring this information to them because they might still want to use this. They
Yeah.
might like how simple it is, and then we could bring it to them and say, but in our opinion, since you came to us, this doesn't really seem feasible.
Yeah.
At least in the markets we've talked about, we've lived in. Maybe you live in a Detroit, Michigan, and it's much easier.
Yeah,
Who
hey.
knows?
So as always, feel free to comment down below any comments or questions that you guys have. We love hearing from you guys. And if you found this information helpful at all, again, we're not saying that you have to follow these percentages or anything, but just as a general guideline, we thought it was kind of interesting. Please like, subscribe, and share. You know, people like to kind of find out what the general rules are. Maybe this is something that could have worked a few years ago, and maybe, who knows, it may work in the future again. But let us know if you actually think it works for today's time. We'd be very curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. We look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.
Stop wasting money on that dumb shit and instead put it in investment. I know it's tempting, you'll spend it and be broke again.